Looking at the accomplishments of these two trainers, there are many, many regional finalists and regional champions for these two trainers, or at least for Doonebug, I guess. HaydonUS has been a regional finalist before. This is a bit of a neutral lead for these two trainers. Jumpleft, with access to acrobatics, can do a ton of neutral damage to the bug and electric type Charjabug here.
Yeah, and Shadow Jumpleft able to do neutral damage in turn. Charjabug is electric, and Bug, look at that acrobatics. Even though it's only neutral, that does sting quite a bit.
X's are coming through. This is neutral damage as well. Super effective against the grass type. Resisted by the flying type, but two are loaded. Back-to-back throw is possible. Will Doonebug choose to shield this charge attack, or will he let it go and play out the zero shield scenario here?
Well, it seems like he's willing. Oh, does he use the move? He uses the attack right on perfect timing. I think that Volt Switch might knock out after this. Let's see. Jumpleft uses the aerial ace. The Volt Switch damage applies. The Jumpleft is knocked out, which is going to give some farm to the Fortress. However, HaydonUS is able to throw a discharge really quickly here into the Shadow Fortress. A little parting gift.
The electric typing of that Charjabug coming in handy, able to survive that Volt Switch from the Fortress. In comes the Marowak, a counter switch by Doonebug into his Dugong. I just combined those two words. And that is mirrored by HaydonUS. It is now going to be a long-lasting matchup. The one issue for Doonebug is that Volt Switch and Rock Tomb are going to be resisted by the ground typing of that Kanto Marowak, and the Earthquake is not going to be super effective. It'll just be neutral. So I think HaydonUS is in a pretty commanding position here. However, he has already utilized a shield, so Doonebug's Dugong is going to be in a solid. I'm struggling over Doonebug's Dugong. It is a tongue twister. I should have done that in my vocal warm-ups today. It is going to be able to outlast HaydonUS's Dugong.
Yes, and we can go ahead and see the drill run from Doonebug. This is another one of those really long mirror matches like we had earlier, which could potentially bring the game timer into play. We saw that for a while. There was a meta where we had a lot of really bulky Pokemon, and we started to see the game timer come into play. This being with Dugong and potentially Lapras coming into the meta, we might start to see even more of the game timer deciding these matches.
HaydonUS had actually waited a turn there, trying to prevent a catch from Doonebug. Unfortunately, that gives Doonebug an additional Ice Shard there because Doonebug threw immediately. There was no charge attack tie. Another drill run coming through, going to strip away a shield from Doonebug, and in comes the Kanto Marowak. Icy when thrown immediately. Doonebug probably predicting that HaydonUS would switch out at this point in time.
And HaydonUS's Shadow Kanto Marowak is going to be stuck with that attack fall for the rest of its time on the field. But that's going to be just fine. It's going to be enough to knock out this Dugong. And then the Shadow Fortress is all that is left for Doonebug. No shields remaining. And it gets to almost its next attack. But the Shadow Kanto Marowak is going to throw a Bone Club. Its attack dropped. Is it enough? No! The Fortress hangs on with an Earthquake. Is the Earthquake enough?
The one thing here, the Earthquake might be enough, but I think HaydonUS is in a really strong spot. It's not enough. It does survive. Bone Club is able to, or Mud Slap is able to knock out. However, if it was enough to knock out, the Ice Shard from the Dugong from HaydonUS' side would have been able to pick up the knockout because a 3-turn fast attack is going to apply its damage before a 4-turn fast attack. And although Ice type damage is resisted by the Steel typing of Fortress, there was so little health on that Fortress that it was going to be more than enough to knock out.
And we have our trainers getting ready to lock in again. That was an exciting game one. Let's take a look back at the replay. We saw at the beginning of the match the Shadow Jumpleft into the Charjabug. We saw the trainers play that out. We had that Dugong mirror match, which starts to kind of entice the game timer a little bit. And here we had the Marowak. One attack stage debuff, throwing the Bone Club was not quite enough to knock out, but when the the Mud Slap damage applied after this. The Marowak was able to hang on. The Mud Slap damage applied knocked out Doonebug's Shadow Fortress.
Yeah, the really crucial thing there was that Haydonis was very aware of Doonebug's energy on his Dugong, throwing that Bone Club at the same exact time as the second Icy Wind was loaded. No more shields left on the field of play for Haydonis, so that was crucial to pick up that knockout. Here we go into game number 2. It is a Guzzlord into the Shadow Kanto Marowak. I feel like it's been a pretty long time since we've seen Guzzlord. And remember, it is a Crunch Guzzlord, not a Brutal Swing Guzzlord.
Crunch takes a little bit longer to get to. You need some extra Dragon Tail fast attack energy to get there, but it packs a bit more of a punch. Guzzlord throwing the Crunch, no attack fall, and Shadow Kanto Marowak throwing its Bone Club in turn. This is going to be much less impactful of an attack. Bone
Club coming through. It looks like maybe we survive the Dragon Tail. Yes, Doonebug now has the option. Do I shield up this Bone Club? The shield prevents the damage from applying and gives switch advantage to Doonebug for the cost of 1 shield.
But Doonebug immediately surrenders that switch advantage, bringing in his Dugong in order to, and we're going to start seeing that strategy again. You throw an Icy Wind first, and then we're going to start to see a series of drill runs. Haydonis does not look thrilled with how this has played out.
Yeah, I think he would have preferred to have gotten this Play Rough off before the first Icy Wind to have it do the full damage. However, he's still in a pretty safe spot here. He does have the Shadow Dusclops in the back with access to Ice Punch. Both it and Azumarill have the ability to do double super effective damage to the Shadow Jumpluff that Doonebug has lurking in the back.
But before we can get to that, we have to see how this matchup is going to play out. If trainers are going to invest Protect Shields here, if trainers are going to make a swap out at some point, because this Azumarill's attack has already 1 stage debuffed, those Play Roughs just not packing enough of a punch to knock out the Dugong. For example, a Play Rough not going to knock out from there.
Ooh, I think Haydonis did the same thing as last game. He waited a turn, tried to throw the Play Rough into the Dugong, is now going to lose a fast attack because of that. Sometimes top play can cost you. This Play Rough I don't think is going to be enough to knock out. Will he switch into the Shadow Dusclops?
I'm not sure. We see a nod of the head. The Azumarill is going to go down. This is going to maybe give a little bit of farm to the Shadow Dusclops, but Dusclops really doesn't want to see... this isn't... I don't know if this is too bad for the Dusclops.
No, it gives Haydonis the ability to potentially come out with a charge attack for that Guzzlord. I think Haydonis is really frustrated because he's afraid of the Dusclops in the back, but now that Doonebug has brought in this Jumpluff, he can overfarm on energy, throw Ice Punches. This is going to threaten really heavy, hard-hitting, double super effective damage on this Jumpluff. Will it be enough to knock out?
I don't think it's enough to knock out, but it's enough to do a lot, and he can exit with quite a bit of energy to deal with the Guzzlord.
Acrobatics being shielded. This is a great spot for Haydonis to utilize that last shield. 2 more hexes to farm all the way down. 2 Ice Punches loaded. What Pokemon does Doonebug bring in, and does he do a peekaboo play?
Ooh, we will have to see Doon. You can see him thinking everything firing, and there is the peekaboo, but that's okay. Haydonis threw the Shadow Punch, not the Ice Punch. Does a full undercharge, not enough. We see 1 Ice Punch, like almost 2 Ice Punches loaded. I don't think this Crunch is enough.
2 Shadow Punches are loaded. I think that is enough. I think Haydonis needs to throw the Shadow Punch. 1 more Dragon Tail coming through. Shield coming up from Dugong. I think Haydonis just said GG's, but I think it's because he thinks he has it. Dragon Tail does not pick up the knockout. 2nd Shadow Punch coming through, going to be more than enough. Although Guzzlord is a Dragon Dark type, resist this move. Shadow Punch going to be enough to pick up the knockout. That is a 2-0 victory for, not victory, excuse me, 2-0 lead for Haydonis. This is the winners finals. Let me remind myself that it is a best of 5.
Yes, and Haydonus is looking really strong with a 2-0 victory. He is locking in his teams immediately, allowing Dune a little bit of extra time to think. Haydonus knows his game plan and is ready to go. These are tough battles against a tough opponent. That came down to the wire.
You know, he was saying yesterday, oh, I haven't really brought my Shadow Dusclops a lot. He's brought it here against Doonebug, who has not one Dark type, but 2 Dark types. Dark types are going to be the type of Pokemon that Shadow Dusclops struggles with the most, especially now with my hidden knowledge of knowing that it beats the normal type of Diggersby.
And we saw that a massive amount of damage. That was honestly a lot more than I thought that Ice Punch was going to do to the Shadow Jumpluff. I suppose because it is a Shadow Dusclops doing damage onto the Shadow Jumpluff, you have to take both the Shadow bonus of the Dusclops into effect, as well as the Shadow drop of defense from the Jumpluff.
Yeah, and Doonebug did everything within his power to make that game as close as possible with the Peekaboo play into the Azumarill. Really removed the energy from Haydonus and allowed Doonebug back into that game.
I just realized something. If Haydonus wins this next one and knocks Dune into the losers finals, he'll be playing Rise, which is such a rivalry. Let's see if Haydonus can put this away. We have the Charjabug locked into the Dugong. This is pretty solid for Haydonus.
Haydonus has got to be happy with how the beginning of this match has played out. Icy Wind going into the Charjabug, going to do good chip. Haydonus likely going to throw 2 more Volt Switches in order to utilize optimal timing. No, actually just going for the one. Has 2 discharges, throwing the first one, and could likely throw the second one immediately, or maybe opts for a single Volt Switch.
And the discharge lands, and we can see another discharge is incoming. Dune lets the Dugong go.
Dugong is Dugong off of the field. Besides, of course, Haydonus is one in the back, and in comes the Shadow Jumpluff. Not really able to get a farm down here, but not as threatened by these X-Scissors, given the Icy Wind that has landed from the Dugong onto the Charjabug.
On paper, this looks great for Haydonus. Haydonus can just play this matchup out and chip away at the Shadow Jumpluff and bring in his own Dugong, aligning the Dugong into its main target, that Shadow Jumpluff, and then the Marowak is then up against the Shadow Drop-In.
In comes the Dugong. Acrobatics being thrown by the Shadow Jumpluff. This is going to do a lot of good neutral damage. Dugong is very bulky, and it takes about 50%. An immediate swap into the Shadow Drop-In, immediate swap into the Kanto Marowak, and they both nod their head. I think Doonebug might know that this is a really tough endgame matchup. No shield from Haydonus. I like this. You can take one Aqua Tail. Will he go for the full farm down, or will he throw a Bone Club?
Potentially going for the full farm down. Haydonus actually letting the Kanto Marowak go.
Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense because the Dugong can do 1 Ice Shard here, get the farm down, 2 shields on both sides. You're going to be fine with just the fast attack pressure here in order to farm all the way down. There is no way this Jumpluff is getting to 3 charge attacks here, and that is Haydonus pushing his way into Grand Finals 3-0 over Doonebug.